Okay, we are up to, what do we get up to?
Rabbi Huda on the bottom line on Samach Dalam base. The bottom line, last four words. Rabbi Huda Soder.
All right, the bottom of Shabbat. All right, so we start with the real. These next bunch of dafs for the rest of the Masech, actually. Did I hit record?
Yes.
The rest of the Masech, actually, there's a lot of practical halacha. Anything having to do in the world of kashrus is coming from these sugyas. So we'll try and do it justice. Starts really from Amid Beis. But first, we left off yesterday the sugya that said a ger toishav is not like a guy. So what does it mean he's not like a guy? So we said that we left off is that he's not like a yid, he's like a guy. In what way? That he can't be mavatal his rishus. You have to buy his rishus or rent his rishus off of him in order to have him in an eruv. Right? That's where we left off. So the Gemara says, how does it work? So you say Rishusi knuyalach, Rishusi muvatalas lach, and my Rishus is kana to you, and my Rishus is muvata to you, and then you don't have to be mizakim. That's what we left off with Ker Toishav. All right, fine. Now the Gemara goes with a story of a ger or something similar to the dinam of a ger Toishav. Yeah. So Rabbi Yehuda shadal le karbana. Rabbi Yehuda sent a carbon. Now this goes back to the original, the first daf in Avodah Zarah. What is he doing? Sending karbanas to a Lavidrana onto Amid Aleph now. To Avidrana who was a guy on his holiday, right? So he sent the Lavidrana b'Yom Edom to Avidrana on their holiday. All right. So what's a pshat? So let's see. So Amar, why did he do this? He said Yadaina Bey the loy palach lavayzcham. I know he's not an Ovid Avodah Zarah. Meaning he's a ger. Again, depending on how you define ger toishav, but he's something similar to a ger toishav, right? So I know he doesn't do Avodah Zarah, so I'm allowed to send him a present on his holiday, right? So of course the kash is, well, what was the mitzvah? What's the mitzvah to send it to him on his holiday? Right? Why couldn't he just wait? Right? So it's very interesting. The Yavitz gives a teretz. The Yavitz says that it's talking about New Year's. Right? So for the Avodah Avodah Zarah was a groisa holiday. But everybody else, like it is like in America, it's New Year's. Nobody has any clue. New Year's, nobody, they don't care. It's just a day for college football or whatever, right? And it's just a holiday, and nobody particularly cares. So there's no reason.
Day off from work.
Basically, yeah. He says, the Yavit says, "Usmeichem boy ba'achilu shesiya v'chayshon l'simin toiv k'shemiyim lem b'Torah." Said, look at that, my New Year's resolution. Look at that, the Jew gave me a present, right? So that's all. There's no chashash of anything. So that's what the Yavit says. He was able to send it. Okay. So, but that's why he sent it. Normally, Rabbi Yosef Atanya, so Rabbi Yosef told him back. But we learned in the Brayso, he's a ger toshav. Who's a ger toshav? Kol shekibul lo b'fnei gimel chaverim shaloi lavrav eskachavim. He had to have accepted on himself in front of 3 friends that he's not Ovid Avodah Zarah. And he didn't do this, meaning you personally know that he's not Ovid Avodah Zarah, but he never was makabel in front of 3. So Kitanya hilach yoisai. What are we talking about there? They were talking about where, meaning when do you need to be makabel in front of 3? That's in order to be machaya him, to feed him. right? Meaning, if we want to be able to, normally you don't support Goyim unless the Kiddush Hashem or whatever it is. But here we're saying that if you want to be able to support a Ger Toshav, so then he has to sort of be makabelit in front of three people. But otherwise, Stam, you want to trust him that he's not an Avodah Zarah, he doesn't have to be makabel in front of three people. So Gemara asks, so Amar Rabba Bar Chana Bar Yochanan Ger Toshav Shavel of Yud Beis Chodesh V'Loy Mol. Didn't we say a Ger Toshav that he went 12 months and he didn't have a Mila? Meaning he's like on his way to becoming a Ger, but Lamaisa he couldn't pull the trigger. Right? Hareyu Kimin Sheva Avdei Kechavim. He's considered like a min of Avodah Zarah. Right? So you see that he's considered Avodah Zarah. The Maisa, he never became a Yid. So he's no different than a min. So why then was he allowed to give him the present? Now that din that he has to give himself a bris, that's only if he was makabel on himself to give himself a bris within the year, and he didn't. So since he didn't, Mamela, he is he's considered a min. Fine. Then we get into
the whole reason that the famila is for him to become a yid. Otherwise, it's the zero. Why is he like not? He's like every other guy out there. No.
So how is that a special condition?
Yeah.
What are you saying? What? I don't understand. He's worse.
He's a Ger Toshav, but a Ger Toshav normally doesn't have to have a bris. He's not like he's eating Korban Pesach. You know, what does he have to have a bris for?
No, but he was makabel on himself to have a bris.
Yeah, okay, so is every Yishmael also, but it doesn't make him such a tzaddik. I mean, what has that got to do with? What's that got to do with it? I mean, it's only because are we saying this Ger Toshav is a potential yid?
It sounds like he's trying to become a yid. Yeah.
So big deal. The first thing I forgot the Gemara, but the first thing you give him, let's say he was Makali, he gets the bris, and even after that, he has to be Mirapa from
right.
that.
No,
he still has
no.
the Vila, and he still has to have Kabbalah's old mitzvah. So he's like way back. He's back in the beginning stages over here. So I don't see why that's a nafkamina.
No, because there is enough. That the pshat is, I think the pshat is that what are we doing? We're trusting his word, right? That he's not an Ovid Avodah Zarah. But then he also said that he's going to give himself a bris. So now he hasn't given himself a bris. So that means once he's backed on that, maybe he backtracked on being Ovid Avodah Zarah too. I think that's the lumdus. Right?
Okay.
I mean, I could hear that svara. Anyway, so let's see weiter. So the Gemara says, Rava Amti like Kurbana le Bar Shesha, but Yomi made them. Rava also, he gave a carbon to Bar Shesha on their holiday. Omar, he said, Yadaina Bey, the Lepalach of Ezcham. I know that he's not Ovid Avodah Zarah. Right? Also, Ashkechet the Yosavat Savari Pivarda. So then he went and he found him sitting up to his neck in the bathhouse in roses. V'kaima Zainas Arumas Kameh, and he had naked Zainas in front of him. Right? So Amarle, so Barsheshach said to Rava, Isluchu ki agam la'am b'da'asi. You have such kishmak in your next world? Amarle, first of all, so what is Rava doing there? Right? Saying why is Rava there?
That's where he brought him the gift. He couldn't wait till he came out.
Right, because the Gemara just asked that, right? Why on the holiday? You can't. I don't know. I'm not sure what's.
Maybe he owns the mikveh and he came to collect the collect on it.
No, I don't know. Unless I originally learned that it was two different things. He brought him a present, and then There was also something else. Then he went to visit him. But I'm not sure. Maybe not. Right? But maybe. I don't know. Either way. So he said to him, do you guys have anything like this? Any heaven like this? Amarle. So Rabbi said back to him, Didona diva tveme hai. Our Olam Haba is much better than this. Amarle. He said back to him, Tveme hai mi hava. Is this something? Is it better than this? Amarle asan ika laicho aimsa de malchusa. You, even though you're very happy, benefiting from this world, but you have on yourselves aim of the malchus. Anan loita have yalon aims of the malchusa. Where in the next world we're going to have no fear. There's going to be no fear of malchus doing anything to us. All right. So, meaning, bottom line is, you always have in the back of your head that the king is going to do something to you. So, Amalei, so he said back to him, Barsheshach said to him, no, my aims of the malchus are equal, right? What do I have now? What kind of aims of the malchus do I have? So, Adi Yosvi, Asahu Pristika de Malka, as they were sitting there, came the Pristika de Malka, the messenger from the king. Amalei, kum de Kabayloch Malka, get up because the king needs you. So, you see that he had to stop all his pleasures in order to go see the king. All right, Kinofik Va'azo, when he went up and he was going Amrale, he said to Rava, Eina debay lemichsi l'chu bishusa tifka. The eye that wants to see, bishusa means the eye that wants to look negative on you. All right, it should tifka, it should pop out. All right. So Rashi says that he was talking about how the words of Rava came true so fast. Yeah, so Amrali Rava, Amen. So Rava said Amen, and Poka Ene de Barsheshach, and then Barsheshach's eyes fell out. All right. Which is interesting because he just said, "What are you starting up?" He was just proving that how Rava, whatever Rava said, came true, and then he goes and he does this with the eye popping out. All right. So now, I mean, the thing that bothers me from this whole sugya is, so Barsheshach obviously had enough das that he was not an Ovid Avodah Zarah, right? He just never learned the part that this world is for the next world. Correct? So I'm saying, is he really doing anything wrong? It doesn't say here that he's doing anything wrong. Meaning, what's wrong with what he did? I mean, who says there is anything? I don't know. Maybe Gemara doesn't say. It's a Rabban. This is what I was referring to with my apicorsis coming out here. I'm not sure. I'm like, so what? Meaning, unless you say that you explain to him like you're using up. This gets back to the. I mean, it's good for Erev Rosh Chodesh El, right? That you're using up all your schusim in this world, and it's going to take away from your next world. That's really the basic way to understand it. Right? No, I mean, any other way to do that? Saying, let's say Rav is right, and the next world's going to be better than this world. So good. So let me enjoy this world too. I don't know. I want to go to the ball game. What are you making me feel guilty? I want to go to the ball game, right?
Yaakov, yeah, Rav Hamnik from Miami.
Yeah.
I'm friendly with. When I saw him the first time, after I was way after I got fired from the Mets. So he's a bigger Met fan than me. I mean, he's wild. He's wild. He's a way bigger Talmud. He's a big Talmud Chacham, and he's wild baseball fan. So when I told him the story, he said, "Rabbaran, this is the only thing I hope. The only thing I hope, because you probably had such a farganig in doing that, talking to the players, that they don't really take away any of the oil. You have the Achameir of asking, they don't take away any of the oil haba, because you definitely had such a farganig in doing that."
Interesting. Right. Okay. So is he gonna? So is he okay? So he's not doing this, but
Right.
is any geschmack that we get in this world? I mean, it doesn't say he was being mazana, this guy, because goyim do have arayas, right? Mastama, the guy kept sheva mitzvahs b'nei l'chayra. We can't say for sure, right? Right. So I don't know.
Do
And then you
goyim
can
get
have another.
schusim?
What?
Do goyim have schusim?
They must
that
have
go
if they
with
keep
the
Sheva mitzvahs
golach
b'nei Noach.
yomim? I mean, golach was a yomim.
I don't know. You're saying what I mean? Said it. What are you saying? So Ibazai, he should have told him, well, you're a guy. You might as well enjoy it here.
Or something like that. There are a lot of things you could have said, you know.
I don't know.
They do have schosim, and they can keep mitzvahs if they want to. Rambam says.
I'm saying certainly
Yeah,
Sheva
but-
mitzvahs.
No, but even other mitzvahs, Rambam says they could do.
But they get chusim for those mitzvahs.
Why not?
And
We had
believe
didn't we
so.
have the sugya?
Well-
Didn't we have it in the beginning? They get it mitzvah mitzvah v'aisa, right?
Why would
They
they
gotta
do
get-
them if they're not going to
No,
get
but I
any?
think that's for Sheva mitzvahs, b'nei Noach.
Why would they do
That's
them if they're
even
not
Sheva
going to get
mitzvahs
any
v'nei
credit?
Noach.
No, yeah, that the Ena mitzvah is on those mitzvahs, no, on Sheva mitzvahs, b'nei Noach. Yeah, but the other ones also, I would assume. But well, for sure, because they're not they're for sure not mitzvah on the other ones.
Right. I'm saying, well, let's say a guy says, listen, I don't know. This is my other thought. It's very nice, your next world. How do I know your next world exists? I have to have a lot of faith. Why can't a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Right? So I'm saying I'm gonna enjoy myself right now. What's gonna be with me then? I have no idea. Maybe I talk Lashon Hara on my way into the Zionist. I don't say maybe I talk Lashon Hara on my way into Seder, and my whole Seder is kaput.
But we're
Right, so
talking
my-
about a stam goy, or this is still the person that's supposedly going through the process?
He was a guy that we don't know. He was a guy that didn't do Avodah Zarah. That we know. Right? Okay, whatever it is, I'm
And
not
we
sure.
believe a guy when he says he's not doing Avodah Zarah?
Rava believed him. Rava believed him.
But it happens to be they're not embarrassed. We look down at Avodah Zarah. To them, okay, fine. It's just a thing you do. It doesn't mean that it's not negative in their eyes. So why would someone say that they don't when it's no big deal to them? It's
Right.
like eating treif.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't know. Let's see Vita. Yeah, okay. But the point is, yeah, I think the only way to really understand it is that I think the way I understand, if anybody else has a different understanding, please say it. But you could tell, you're listening, you're using up your schusim. I don't know. Anyways, then this next one,
I looked up the Rambam. He says if he wants to do a mitzvah from any other mitzvah in the Torah besides Shabbos and Torah, whatever, to be Makabel Schar, then we don't prevent him, and he's allowed to do it Kehilchasa. He could bring carbon oil, give tzedakah,
right, he could bring, yeah.
stuff. But he's doing it to get schar. So the halacha is we don't hold him back. He's allowed to do it if he wants to. That's what the Rambam says.
I hear. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe here, I don't know.
Okay, so let's see. So then, Amar a puppy. This part I really didn't understand. Amar a puppy. He boiled the main relay. He should have told him. Rava should have told him. Mehai kro from this pasuk in Tillim. But nois malachim b'karaisecha nitzvah shegel yemincha bekesem oifir. Right, daughters of kings. Right, will show you yakar chashivas. Nitzvah a shegel a queen will stand next to you limincha on the right side. Bekesem oifir, full of this oifir type of gold. Right? So what are you saying? He's saying he should have said, we're not going to be with Zainas. We're going to be with beautiful ladies, well, queens. I say, why would you say that to him? That means you're being machshav everything that he's being machshav. I don't know. Can you please tell me if you went to your mashgiach in yeshiva and said, you know, mashgiach, I want to sit in a bathhouse with Zainas, and he says to you, hey, when you go to Elam Haba, you're going to have much better than Zainas, right? I don't know. I mean, El's supposed to start. I'm not so sure I would send him to that yeshiva, right? I told you, I warned the island before that my apikosis is off the chart today. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Right? I mean, and even
Yeah,
if,
no one's going to the mashgiach saying that, correct?
I'm saying the mashgiach answered him back. I'm not talking about maybe people would go to mashgiach, but the mashgiach should answer this back to him. Right?
There's a note from Art Scroll. Vikas Isaac explains a puppy's suggestion differently. The verse tells us the righteous of Israel will be served by royalty. typically those of royal blood live in the lap of luxury.
Okay.
So if they're being served by them, they even have more.
So what are we telling? So okay, good. So you won't have Zionist. He'll have a house in Woodsboro with
Right,
14
okay.
Right.
Ferraris.
Okay, fine.
Right.
I hear,
That's the
fine.
same. It's
Fine,
the
your
same
point still
kasha.
stands.
Benny-
Right. Okay, yeah, fine.
It's the
Okay.
same
Ben-
kasha.
Yeah, but the Ben Ish Chai says something like they're not really choshish on them and they're in their house. This guy was in the bathhouse. He ran away from his house. Over here, we're gonna have shvachas come into our houses, and it's not gonna be a chashash.
Yeah, but
Whatever.
shouldn't I don't understand. Ben, I don't understand. If
What?
from my education in I don't even know where my education stands, to be honest with you, after this Gemara. My
Okay.
education would be like Bistam is sugar in Olam Haba, you're gonna have a blot Gemara with a stender, right? Isn't that what we hear?
Oh yeah, the
What-
Chassam Sofer. The Chassam
No.
Sofer understands the what's it called, that kings and princes are the wise men of the nations. They will come to the scholars of Israel to be introduced into in their own disciplines. For all the secular learning
It doesn't
is
say
contained.
kings and queens. It says ladies.
Right.
Queens and princes. It says queens and princes.
As
Yeah,
far
so he's
as I
saying those
know,
are the chachamim.
I'm old.
Everyone's going to come to the chacham to learn from them.
Still know the difference between
Well-
a prince and a princess.
Yes.
But we know we're gonna be served. Last love, we're gonna be served by. We're gonna have servants, no?
I don't know, but it shouldn't be ladies. I mean, based on what, based on my
Well,
education,
the men are gonna be too busy learning, so it's got to be somebody.
it's very nice.
If
Not
it's going
one
to be
word
by
here.
ladies, a lot of people are going to do a lot more mitzvahs.
Is that what they learned?
I will do a lot more
Isn't
mitzvahs.
that how they get Arabs to blow themselves up?
Right, because I didn't want to go down that road,
That's what I'm
Jesse. I
saying.
didn't
Is
want to
that-
go down. I did
is that
not
what
want to
they
go
learned?
down that road.
Is that
But
what
yes.
they learned in Darchei Torah?
Let's not start with Siach against
Benny.
Darchei Torah, just because I went to Darchei Torah, right? Anyway,
These are the
Oh,
things
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Like the
What should I tell you? I don't know. It's a big fat I don't know. I mean, clearly you see from here that there is a concept of luxury and
Ben Ish Chai
whatever.
says it's derived from this Gemara. There's Yetzirah, the Asalava, because otherwise, what's the whole thing?
That's another point. Exactly. Oh, it's a Ben Ish Chai that says that.
Yeah, it's in this Gemara, or some sort of taiva, some form of taiva.
No, but then you also see that there's some form of, in addition to that, you also see that there's some sort of how do you say, justification for enjoying the taiva. Right? I mean, even okay, according to the Chassam Sofer's Pshat and Naftali said fine, but the other Pshatim, good. So in Olam Haba, you're going to go be served, and you're going to be good. So then why shouldn't I have that? And let's say I'm in this world and I have a lot of, let's not say I'm in this world, Baruch Hashem, but I don't have a lot of money in this world, right? But I'm saying these people that are very wealthy throwing bar mitzvahs that are hundreds of thousands of dollars in weddings and they can afford it. Why not? You see that's what Olam Haba is. If Hashem gave me the ability to have that Olam Haba in this world, so why not? Right? I mean, it's clearly some sort of reward for something, unless, again, like you get into, is that you're using up your schusim. I don't know, but it seems like there is some, we just keep we keep hammering it on people's heads that don't have luxuries and don't eat too much and da. What are you talking about? There's such a thing. There's such a thing that's a reward. There's a legitimate taiva for that. Okay, whatever. We spent enough time on this. We're going to get into the bottom of this anyways. Fine. He said he should have said something else. Mehacha from a different pasuk. Ayin loy rasa lekim zulasecha zulascha yasa lemechake loy. Right? No eye, right? Except for Hashem, will see what it's going to be. Lemechake is somebody who looks at Hashem. Meaning the reward, basically this pasuk is saying that the reward that's waiting for Yidden in the Olam Haba is unimaginable and nobody's ever seen it. Right? So basically he's saying to him, so your Olam Haba, he's saying to him, Rava is saying to him, our Olam Haba is going to be way better than your supposed Olam Haba in this world. Again, I don't know, it doesn't say, so what? So yeah, enochanami, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't enjoy this world. Okay, all right, that's the fun part of the daf. If you rented him out to do other malachas, so we said that if you have an employee who's doing regular work, and then the employee goes and moves some yayin nesach, then it's okay. So the Gemara asks, even though he didn't tell him to do it in the evening, meaning he's hired from 9 to 5. So if he told him, by the way, can you on your way home after 5 o'clock, can you schlep some yayin nesach for me? Right? So okay, so that's extra work. He's not getting paid for that. Fine. So that's why he could keep his wages. But if he asks him at 3 o'clock to say, I'm paying you, so you got to do yayin nesach, that means he's getting paid for it. So, meaning the Gemara, the Mishnah doesn't say anything. So the Mishnah sounds like even if in the middle of his day. So the Gemara asks, even to say it like towards the evening or a minute, somebody rents out a worker, and when it's coming towards the evening, he tells him, schlep this yayin nesach from one place to another. His schar is mutter. Why? Because that's the reason is because he did it in the evening. Time of the Erev in. That's because he told him to do it in the evening in overtime, and he wasn't going to get paid overtime. Kuli Yom Eloi. But if he told him during the day, it doesn't work. So is that what our mission is saying too? When Abaya said our mission, it's talking about Li Taisei Erev. And it is talking about towards the evening. Rav Amar, like kasha, Rav says not a kasha. Hadamar le haverli meya chavius b'meya prutus. One is talking about what he told him, schlep me 100 barrels with 100 prutus. Right? What does that mean? It's going to be part of, and if some of those barrels are yayin nesach barrels, so that's part of his payment is to schlep yayin nesach, so then it wouldn't be allowed. He's saying schlep each and every barrel per pruta. Meaning, in the first case, he has to do 100 barrels in order to get paid. Second case is no. Let's say he only schleps 95 barrels, so he's only going to get 95 prutas. Right? So there he would get paid, but minus. Let's say he schlepped 100 barrels, of which 5 of them were yayin nesach barrels, and Hitaka would only be able to get paid 95. What comes out a fascinating thing, I think, the way I understand this, comes out that if you learn the Pashat of Mishnah, if you have an employee and then you ask him, by the way, can you schlep some yayin nesach barrels to me? And the Mishnah says that he can take his money. That does not apply. That meaning that psak doesn't apply, right? Because if he told him you have to schlep 100 barrels, right? And some of them are yayin nesach money, so then he can't take the money. Oh, so what is it that he gets paid per barrel? So the Gemara is still saying, even though he gets paid per barrel, so that means he cannot take his full payment. He has to subtract whatever barrels that were yayin nesach. So it comes out that you can't take money for schlepping yayin nesach, right? If it was part of the job description, then you certainly can't take it, and even if it wasn't, you can't take it. Right? Meaning you could take for the payment for the other stuff you did, but not for schlepping the yayin nesach barrels. Okay, it's interesting. Vatani, we learned that a brisa of this Vatani is not a kasha, it's a benichusa, it's a raya, it's a payil. A guy rents out a work of Raman like Haverly meya chavis meya prutas. He says schlep 100 barrels for 100 prutas. V'nimtzeis chavis shel yayin nesach b'neyin, and he finds a chavis of yayin nesach that was in those 100 barrels. Schare also, so the schar is also chavis but pruta, but he says schlep each barrel for a pruta. For him says chavis yayin nesach b'neyin, and he found the barrel yayin nesach in between them. Schare mutter, then his schar is mutter. Minus the barrels that were schlepped. Fine. If somebody rents out a chamor to bring yayin nesach, the schar is also right. So but we said, but if he but if he just rented it out to sit on it, then even if the guy puts down his jug of yayin nesach, then it's not a problem. I mean, it's the same case as the previous case. So Gemara says, Hasu lamali, hainareshi. You said the exact same thing. That if you're hired to schlep yayin nesach, you can't get paid. But if you're stam hired for something else and he happens to put some yayin nesach, then you can get paid. Seif it's strichale, we need the seif. Schara leishivale. If he hired him to sit on it. Even though the Avik Achavim put his legina le schare mutter, his schar is mutter. Right? because meaning that has nothing to do with payment. That's like bonus. Meaning he has to pay him the rent he has to pay him the rent for the animal, regardless of whether he puts his jug of wine on there or not. So that's what the Gemara asks now. Remember the login lav dina hu de. Are you saying that the guy who rents out the animal can't really put his donkey, his wine, his yain nesach on the donkey? For a minute, I ask you, stira seicher is chamar, a guy who rents out a chamar, so seicher meniach alech ksusai uluginasa mizinaisa shalai seaderach. So if a guy rents a chamar, so he's allowed to load up the donkey for everything he needs, clothing, his jugs, his food, right? For that whole derech, mikan ve'elech. But from there on, meaning if he wants to put more stuff onto this donkey that he doesn't need for that trip, then chamar ma'akav, the driver could say, no. It's a 3-day rental. You can put 3 days worth of clothing and food on there. You cannot put 4 days worth, right? And the donkey can only put on that because the renter is going to say that he wants more room on the donkey. So the donkey driver is going to say, no, I'm entitled to some room. So what's he allowed to put on there? Barley and grain for food for that day, but that's it, not for the whole trip. More than that, the renter could be ma'akev. So again, the guy renting the donkey is allowed to put the trips, whatever length of trip it is, he's allowed to put that amount, no more. The driver is allowed to put only 1 day's worth, right? So what do you see? He's allowed to put. Bottom line is, you see that the guy who rents the donkey is allowed to put his wine on there. If he's allowed to put his wine on there, that means part of the donkey driver's benefit is coming from the yain nesach. So Rabbi says an interesting thing in business. Granted, yes, he's allowed to put his flasks on there. If let's say he decides not to put it there, are we going to tell him to give him a discount? No, we're not going to tell him. We're not going to tell him that he gets a discount. Right? Meaning, when you rent a hotel room, let's say you get 2 beds in a hotel room, and you decide you're only using 1 bed. Can you go downstairs and ask for a refund? You only used 1 bed? No, obviously not. Right? So the same thing. So if you own a hotel, and a guy decides to put yayin nesach down on one of the beds, you can't say, oh, you have to deduct some of your rent. You can't benefit him because he put yayin nesach on it, right? That doesn't work. It's only things that he can take a deduction. If he doesn't use it, then that's called part of the income. It's very interesting. If it wasn't Friday, we can maybe hack about it. So Gemara asks though, well, what's the case here? If it's common that they're constantly selling food, chamar nami la'akav, then the chamar could say, no, I don't want you to schlep 3 days worth of food. There's food all along the way. And if it's not common to sell, so then the renter can't be ma'akav the driver from putting on his things. Meaning, why does the guy who rents it get 3 days worth of food to put on there? I'm just saying 3 as a mashal, and the driver only gets 1 day. Right, I was telling this to Naftali yesterday. The difference between driving upstate when I was a kid, 30, 40, whatever, 40 years ago, and now, not only can you get food in every gas station, you get Chol Yisrael Kamat in every gas station all along the way. The Palisades and the 17 and the Thruway. I don't know. It doesn't work. There's no watching in my Tesla. It's not connected. My niece from Lakewood, who comes in, first thing she sees me, can we go on the Tesla? I guess some family members do have internet. Mine does not. I'm sorry, I'm the bad uncle. Anyway, but the point is that nowadays, even if you call Yisrael, all along the way. So if I'm renting a driver to go upstate, and I tell him, listen, I got to load up tons of food for the drive. He tell me, what are you talking about? We're going to stop for gas, and you'll get all your food you want, right? So what's the case? Samara Papa. It's talking about where they'll have food, but it's a tircha. I mean, if you're willing to go, you know, you stop over and you say, okay, where's a kosher restaurant and blah, 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 and you have to schlep and you have to hack. So chamar darchi lemitra, so lumizman. So the driver, he knows everything. He knows all the people, he knows the locals, etc., etc. So he could do it. Soicher lav darchi lemitra lumizman. But a guy he's just being driven. You want him to know the lay of the land and know where to find food, so he can schlep all the food. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to live day to day. Okay. Avua the Ravacha Beret the Rav Ika. The father of Rav Beret the Rav Ika, Anton Bebeis now, have a shafik lahu chamra la'ivdekacham. So he would pour wine for a guy. He was a bartender. Seemingly, he was a bartender. V'azar mavralu ma'avra. And then he would pour it for them. And then he would, and then he would also do delivery. So he was like, you know, the seltzer or the milkman. He was like the milkman, but he was the wine man, right? So he would pour into their jugs and then he would bring it to them, right? So and then how did they pay him? They would give him his barrels as payment, right? Now this is not the first time, but right here you see that the sherry casks issue. Right, because they gave him their tray of barrels as payment. Oh, it's absorbed full of wine. So how did he take it? Okay, it's a sugya coming up in around 5-6 block. Right? But anyways, so they gave him this the jugs for his rent. Also, Amrle Abaya, people came and told Abaya. And they said, look at this guy, look at him. He's working with Yayin Nesach. Amrle said back, he katarach, be'atera katarach. So Abaya had a whole lumdus here. He said, when he's being matriach himself, he's actually being matriach himself beheter. Why? So Rashi says, when he pours the wine, that's what he's getting paid for. It's not Yayin Nesach yet, right? He's pouring his wine. He's the producer of the wine. When does it become Yayin Nesach? When it hits the jugs. Okay, when it hits the jugs, that's already he already earned his keep. That has nothing to do with him. That was Abaya's lumdus to defend it. So then Black Priest said in yesterday, writes Bikiyuma, the line that's Ziki, but he still writes Bikiyuma in the Yayin Nesa, because if those jugs or what flasks, whatever you want to call it, break on him, then he's gonna lose his whole parnasa. So he does want it. So he says the Masni Bahadayu, song about where he made a Tanai with them that he's not responsible if any of these jugs split. Inami, or the Maisi Pristiki Bahadayu, or he would bring they would bring empty jugs with them in case they broke, then they would just, in case the ones that he was pouring into broke, they would replace it. So therefore there was no risk. So therefore he wasn't praying, he didn't care that their things should survive. So we're asked, but fine. You want to say that he wasn't over on any Isser until he poured the wine into the jugs. Fine. But then he schlepped the jugs across the water for them. And that's for sure was Yayin Nesach, the Katarach B'Yisura. So my answer is he told the people, the boat drivers from the beginning, right? Meaning, basically, he told them. Rashi says he was the head of the river. He basically told them, you got to give these guys a free ride. So Mamela, he wasn't. It wasn't his concern. Inami, or the similar to Nikita Bekitri, he gave them knots. Instead of giving them like tickets, he basically gave them tickets to get across. So therefore, it was not. It wasn't coming anything off his neck. Okay, that's ended at sugya. We have a few more minutes. Okay, I mean, everybody on here is making late Shabbos.
Those who are making early probably left already.
Why?
People
6:45.
making medium.
6:45.
Medium.
By us, Mincha's 7 o'clock.
What? Okay.
Okay, so let's see the Mishnah. Now we start with the kashrus. So for those that are interested in becoming rabbis, the rest of the Masechta, what daf we on? Samach. We got 10 blot.
I am a base.
Yeah, Samach Chayim Beis. So we got 10 more blot of kashrus through and through. Yeah. So, okay, let's start with reading the Mishnah. Yayin nesech shenofel gavi anogim. So you have yayin nesech that fell on top of grapes, right? Now, Joshailas are the grapes also. So for this the first lesson in kashrus, yedichin vein mutaros. Just wash it off and then mutar, right? Milk falls on your chicken.
Is it asking for grapes, dafka grapes, or just use
No,
honey
we're
to
gonna
use?
see. We'll see. Wait to the next case. But right now it's grapes. Wine fell on grapes. Wine is mamish osabano. Fell on grapes. Right? Mishnah says rinse it off. No problem. It's cold. But if there's cracks in the grapes, then asuras, then the grapes are also. Why? Because the wine went into the cracks. How you getting it out? Right? Now this is a very little known halacha, but if milk falls onto meat, so it's cold, so you can just rinse it, or chicken, but not if there's cracks in it. If there's cracks in it, then you have to be concerned. It's called pili. If there's cracks in it, then you have to be concerned that the milk went down into the cracks, and it's a problem. Now, how do you define? Is so a chicken breast, let's say, what do you call it, schnitzel, l'chayra is smooth. There's no cracks, right? But once it's cooked, chicken looks like it has cracks in it. I don't know. It's a meat also. A lot of meats look. They don't look smooth. They look like they have cracks in it, right? I don't know if Parrots from the pool is hearing this. He's going to
Doesn't
disagree
sound
with me.
like that should be a minor halacha. It seems like it should be a well-known one, no?
Yeah, but it's not. It's not
That's
so.
a basic one, sounds like.
It is basic, but I think it happens so rarely because of our luxury that how often does cheese? It's very rare that the shaila comes up that milk liquid drips down on top of fleischiks. It happens, but not usually. If it happens on a pot, right, or something like that. But cold that drips on there is a shtickle issue.
And not only
Anyways.
that, we have so much food nowadays. You throw it in the garbage, do another one. They didn't used to have, as much, like we had so much access to like unlimited
Well, the question,
food
but the question is,
anytime.
you will not be kairos, right? You have that shiloh. You will not be kairos if you don't listen to what the halacha says. All right. But anyway, so that's the first lesson. Nafal al gabi te'enim al gabi tomorrow. So this is what Naphtali is saying. So the first case, it went on to grapes. So grapes and wine have similar taste. Nafal al gabi te'enim al gabi tomorrow, but it fell on figs or it fell on dates. Simyesh ben b'nois and tam. Then now we get into all the crux of the basics of kashrus. If the wine gives taste to the dates and the figs, meaning wine flavored figs is good, then they're also. But if they don't give taste, then it's not also. Right? Which we'll see a little bit in the Gemara. And now what
That doesn't make any sense, because why would you use something as expensive as wine unless it's giving taste? Because wine's a whole process.
We're talking about here where it fell. Here it fell. We're not talking
Right,
about
but I'm just saying all over the place for bourbon, for scotch, for all sorts of stuff, you use wine because of taste.
And a chanami. So if wine fell into your bourbon, then that would l'chayra be nice and tam l'shvach, and then you have a problem. I'll tell you a classic example. I heard this psak from a rabbi in Lakewood. I don't know who, I don't know what, but he wanted to bring a raya that if somebody by mistake, this is fairly common question, much more common than milk falling on chicken, but somebody by mistake takes a fleishik, ben yoimai, chicken, or used right 5 minutes before for hot chicken, and he mixes his coffee. Right? So is it treif now or not? See, he wanted to taina that Starbucks does not have chicken flavored coffee. And since Starbucks doesn't have chicken flavored coffee, must be that chicken flavor is nice and tam l'fagam, and we can care less that it went into the coffee. And it's going to be okay. Obviously, you can't do it l'chatchila, but b'diavad, you're okay. All right? And when I heard it first, I was like, well, and then I think about it. I think the guy has a point. The rabbi has a point. No, and you can't tell me that anybody here ever see chicken flavored coffee.
No, and I would imagine that would ruin the coffee, right? That would be a bad thing.
Right. So then when you mix your coffee with a fleishik spoon, so then that's nice and tam fagam, and it's going to be okay.
If it
Right.
happened during the week, you'd probably spill out the coffee and make a new cup.
Yeah, it could be. It could
Probably.
be. Yeah. But anyway, so nice and tam. Normally, what nice and tam means is that you obviously you can't give it to a yid to taste it. How are you supposed to know when yayin nesach falls on your dates? How are you supposed to know if it's nice and tam? So what you have to do is you have to give it to a guy. But there's rules and regulations for the guy, because the guy can't be trusted if he knows he's making a halachic decision, because he's going to do what you want to hear. So you have to basically make the guy think that you have to, and he has to be an expert. You have to make him think and say, like, I have a new experiment here. What do you taste in this coffee? He says, I taste nothing. Then it's okay. But if he knows that he's giving a halachic decision, then you don't trust him. Now, because of that, the Ramah says, we're done with this. We don't trust them anymore. And that's where shishim comes in. Shishim is understood to mean that there's no benefit from the taste whatsoever. Same yesh behem b'nois and tam aser, it's aser. Fine. Umaisim Peter's ben Zainon Chevy Gregor's besfina. There was a story of Peter's ben Zainon that brought a dried fig on a boat. Finished abrachavash yayin nesach v'navel agabein, and a chavis of yayin nesach broke and fell on it. V'shalach chacham v'tirum, and they asked the chacham, and they said it's mutter. Right? Which the Gemara is going to ask. This is a stira. What do you mean it's mutter? Right? Maybe it's going to be nice and tam. Okay, so then the Mishnah finishes off. Is that klal? Kol sheba nasa b'nois and tam aser. Where if there's a hana from the tam, then it's aser. Meaning, if you're going to benefit, like Jesse said, if you're going to benefit from the wine being in the schnapps, then it's going to be aser. Kol she'ein ba nasa b'nois and tam. But if there's no hana from that nois and tam, could go in chaymetz shnafal agabi grisin, like vinegar that falls on beans, right? Meaning, if you have treifa vinegar or vinegar that comes from yayin nesech and it falls into your cholent, you are not going to be happy about that, right? So since you're not going to be happy about that, it cannot make it asa, right? Yeah, fine. Okay, we'll stop over there.